Okay, so I feel like we need to talk, and I mean that in two ways. One, I need to talk to you, and I think there's some things you need to hear. And two, I feel like we need to talk like for real, and I want to make sure you know that you can book a call with me below this video. So I want to dive into what I want to talk about, but I wanted you to know that we can really talk. That brings me to the point of this video. So I haven't put out a video in a minute, and I've spent really the last year of my life stationary in my RV, but dialing into what I really wanted to focus my time on, and that's in my business. So if you don't know me, if you've never seen my story, I shared that in another video that you can watch here. But I shared about my RV life and why I started RVing, and then I got all of these people reaching out to me. I lost my child, and it felt like the world had ended. I didn't quit my job and start this RV life and start a business. It was kind of the opposite way. I had this really amazing dream job that most people would want. It paid really good money. I had paid vacation. I could pretty much do anything I wanted except leave the office. Or if I was not at the office, I didn't have freedom. So I remember if I checked my emails, I wasn't supposed to get paid for that, or I wasn't supposed to book my time for that. It's like I was putting all my time into this life. And if you don't know, I was in finance. So I worked for a really, really big company. I worked for the bank, and I went from planning people's lives. So I would sit down with someone like you, and I would say, hey, you know, show me your finances. Let's see what you're invested in, or, you know, what are you saving each month? How much money are you bringing in? I was your financial planner, but I would go through like your expenses, and then we would pretty much just tell you, hey, this is what you should invest in for the next like 50 years of your life, and then eventually you'll be able to retire and buy an RV and do that thing that you want to do, but you need to work like the next 30 years of your life before you can do that. And it's crazy because I never would have thought that I would be in an RV. I never dreamed about being in an RV. This was never something that I thought about doing. It wasn't until I quit my job, and then I met my boyfriend, but he was an entrepreneur. He was like super lazy, and he was just, money was rolling in for him. And I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. And I'm slaving over this 9 to 5, which was really like a 7 to 5. I'm getting up, and I'm giving up so much for this job. And really, I'm giving up everything just so that I can pay for this $250,000 condo, this Lexus that I felt like I needed to fit in with everyone else, and because my boss had one, and they made me feel like I needed these things. And I had a fancy car, all the things, all the gadgets, all the fun stuff, all the newest and greatest, like the nice iPhones, and I had a nice computer, and I had, you know, surround sound and flat screen TVs, and I wasn't like a big spender, but I decided that I needed like this furniture for my condo, and so I spent all this money. And I always remember this conversation that I had with my girlfriend. One time I was talking to her, and she's like, oh, I really want to do that RV thing that you do. That sounds really fun. And I asked her, I said, well, what are you spending your money on right now? Like, if, you know, you want to travel. And she's really good at budgeting, so that's what was ironic. But I remember her telling me, she said, oh, you know, I bought like all this furniture and stuff. I'm pretty sure that conversation came up before. I don't remember, but this was the only furniture I had ever bought. So moral of the story is, she told me she bought the furniture, and I said, well, why did you buy that furniture? And she was like, oh, you know, just keeping up with the Joneses. And I was like, well, who are the Joneses? It was more of like she was keeping up with what everybody else thought she should do. She was feeling like she needed to buy these things and do all these things to fit in, I guess, with her current situation. So I suffered my child loss during this journey to entrepreneurship. So I went through a lot of different businesses, but the really big thing that I've always told everybody that really did it for me was reselling other people's products and services. Until I would get complaints and returns, and it wasn't anything that I was doing, it was these other people's products and services. So then I started developing my own. So I created an app and I wrote a book. And one thing I really never did, and I've learned about myself, is that I was really good about selling other people, but I wasn't really good about selling myself. I had all of these passions. I wanted to do all of these things. And so I went through this child loss, and I honestly kind of felt like I needed to give all that up. And that wasn't really the case, but looking back now, I thought that like my life was over and I had been crawling out of this hole for like the last 3 or 4 years since that had happened, and I never shared all of that with my fans and followers until I made the video about my story, maybe a month ago, but it was like 4 videos ago. And then when I got this outpouring of everyone, I thought, wow, I've never really shared my story like this deep. So my child loss came after I quit my job. So I quit my job because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then when I became an entrepreneur, I had this tragic thing happen in my life. That was like, I was trying to heal from it. So I started my RV life to heal from my child loss. And it was like selling a lifestyle. And it's always something that my boyfriend joked about, and he said, you're literally like selling a lifestyle. And I really was. I was trying to heal, and I had read about this guy in the Bible, and I do not remember the story. It was something like he had came to God, and he was asking, about, will you please deliver me, or answer my prayers, or whatever. And God told him, like, well, sell all your possessions. I think I was at that moment where I was reading the Bible and I was just trying to heal and ask for forgiveness and feel back to where I was, because I felt on top of the world when I became an entrepreneur, and then I lost this passion because of this thing that happened in my life. And I let that thing define me. And also, while I was trying to heal, it's like my boyfriend, my partner, who also went through this thing with me, who's also an entrepreneur, was getting to grow his business, and his business was going in places where I'm over here trying to heal. And it wasn't like he didn't go through a lot of it with me, but he didn't get to feel it like I felt it. This was something that went in my body and something that I was connected to, and he didn't have the same connection to. Plus, it was more of, we came from 2 different cultures. He was born in India. He's Indian. Yeah, he was born in India, a different country, and I was born in America. So I came from like Christian values, and he came from like arranged marriages, and I was quitting a job. I was starting an entrepreneur life, trying to figure out how do I make money on the road, or really how to transition my business to make money on the road. And then I was going through this child loss, so then I just wanted to sell everything, and I wanted to blog about my life. And then I started getting teased about blogging Brandy, what are you gonna do, blogging Brandy, blah blah blah, and that's how the name came up. So I was trying to heal, trying to become an entrepreneur, and also trying to learn this RV thing. And so I was on a call the other day, and someone mentioned to me that, one of the things that they do when you're trying to heal from something or you're going through something is you try to teach other people. So I started making these videos about how do you hook up your water in your RV, and how do you set up your trailer. And this wasn't really transformational stuff. This wasn't things that was like changing people's lives. It was literally like people fly by, they learn it one time, and they never need to watch the video again. They don't really need to see me again, and they didn't really need to connect with me. So I also had to hit pause on that because I lost my RV. So I bought my RV, I lost it like 4 months in, and I got in this horrible RV accident. So then I was like healing for a year, and I went into my story about like this whole thing, but I was trying to be an entrepreneur, and I had all these ideas and projects, and I was trying to start this RV life, and I was trying to heal. So I'm like going through, I was literally like changing one lifestyle for another, but like 2 lifestyles, RV life and entrepreneurship. So I was like building this business, and I kind of learned how to brand myself. So that was the one thing that I didn't really realize what I was doing by going through this process. Was I had tried to create all these products and services to sell, but I never really tried to sell them. So I spent all this time wasted, honestly, I don't want to say wasted. It wasn't wasted, but I've spent all this time going through all of these different businesses and all of these different ideas and all of these different RVs, because I had a travel trailer and then I had 2 vans and then I had this RV, which is my motorhome. One thing that one of my family members, my cousin, pointed out to me was like, don't you feel like maybe you were running from something, like, instead of healing? And kind of thought, you know, maybe I was running from something. But I guess, like, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video was to connect with you. So like I said, I do want to talk to you. So over this last year, I really, and actually of my RV life, I've spent a lot of time on personal growth and development and figuring out who I really am and what I want to offer this world. And it took a lot to do that. I want to share more about myself, but it is scary putting it out there into the world and not knowing what you're going to get back. I mean, let's be real. People do write ugly things and people write really amazing things, and you can relate to some people, and then some people, like, they watch one video from like years ago and then they make a comment and I'm like, did you see any of the other videos I've made since then? But you have to remember that people aren't willing to invest the time in themselves that you're willing to invest in yourself. And I kind of learned that when I talked about this in my story, but the word codependency came into my life. So I figured out that I was letting, like, all these other people and all these other things, I was looking at other people and their life and trying to be, I guess, like them, or trying to shape my life around them and their happiness, and if they were going to be happy, then I'd be happy. But instead I realized that I was putting myself second in life. I wasn't, you know, giving myself space to heal or time to heal. I was like just jumping into the next thing, and I felt like I was being pushed into the next thing. I wasn't ready to go into the next RV. My boyfriend kind of was like, hey, you know, you've been living here in the house. And I'm like, well, I figured you put a ring on it by now. You know, we've been in it for like 7 years. So, you know, I'm in my RV here, and he is usually here with me. But he still has his condo, and so, you know, I have these two separate lives that I still have to live. And we traveled for a real long time, and then when COVID hit in 2020, we had to literally like just hit pause and figure out what the next move was, because things were shutting down, and I was living in Las Vegas at the time in my RV. We were living in Las Vegas in the RV, but we had been traveling, and so came all the way back to Alabama. So I've been in Alabama stationary at an RV park for really over a year now. So I've created like a stationary life, and I really want to get back out there. Like, I really want to travel. And some people say, like, your RV never moves. I'm like, you did understand that like a tragic event happened, right? But I spent the last year, instead of, you know, complaining, it's been one of the best years for my business. I figured out, you know, my value in life, and that I wasn't just trying to sell like a little $5 app or a little $30 book. I really figured out who I was trying to target and talk to, and the people that have reached out to me. You know, I'm a digital nomad. I'm an RVer. I love fancy things, but I don't spend a lot of money on them. And I do look like I have a really nice life, but I also save a lot of money, and I budget for it, and I've planned for it, and that probably comes from my financial backing. I do have a degree in finance, and I've worked in an accounting office, and, you know, ironically, I also have a license to cut hair and do makeup. And speaking of which, I was on the phone with someone the other day, and they were talking to me, and they said, you know, what I really love, and by the way, if you want to hop on a call with me, you can. I mentioned there's a link below. You can book a call with me below this video, and we can chat. But I was on the phone with someone the other day, and they said, you know, you just show up, and that's what I love about you, is you show up, you know, without your makeup, and which is ironic because I came from this life that you should just always have makeup on and be beautiful, until I figured out that I was beautiful without all the makeup, okay? And it took a really long time to get there, but I figured that out, and I didn't need those things. And I was wearing this shirt, which is my boyfriend's shirt, but it says just do it. And so this morning I was like, oh, you know, I need to take a shower, and I need to do my coffee, and I need to do all these things, and then I'll make that video. And then I need to come up with like a title and a description and tags. And then I was like, no, I need to talk to you. Like, we need to talk. So if we haven't talked yet, make sure that you do reach out to me and book a call with me, because I do want to talk to you. I've been working on this project. I call it RVersity, but you know, I created this space where I could share how I got to where I'm at and take away all of those barriers from you being able to get there. And I brought these people into my space, and it was super scary. And I shared like all my tools and resources, and I've been on calls with these people every week for at least a year. I have been super vulnerable about sharing the details of the behind the scenes of my business and how I make money and, you know, my relationship and what I go through. And, you know, I don't just make videos to make videos for YouTube and Facebook and social media. I truly have actually made probably like 30 videos in this last month, but it was for my clients. I'm teaching them how to live a different life. I'm teaching this transition, and it is a emotional and physical and mental transition. You know, it's not like you just jump into this life. That's how you end up with a train wreck and in a wreck like I did, and don't have all the things that you need before jumping into this, especially if you're trying to like start a business and do this entrepreneurship thing. So either way, I wanted to make this video because I wanted you to know, one, that I'm still alive, two, that I read your comments, and I love that you reach out to me. And when I talk to you on the phone, like, you know, sometimes you'll find me in tears because your stories just really resonate with me, and I know what it feels like to be in your shoes, and I was in your shoes years ago, or it could have been last week. And those things, all of those things have brought me to where I am now. I still cry, I still get upset, I still have those bad days, but, you know, I have things that I do to keep myself sane and people that I have in my life, and there's a lot of things that I've removed from my life. So I don't just have a huge to-do list. I literally have 2 things that I'll try to do every day, and if I get those 2 things done, then I'm happy. But I have my budget figured out. I don't have my plans figured out, but I kind of have a schedule and I have a routine, and I don't just wake up and float through life. Okay? I've always been I get up at 5 a.m. My body just naturally wakes me up. I drink my coffee. I try to do some fitness. I read the Bible, and I try to stop life at 5 o'clock. I don't work on weekends. I try to spend after hours with my boyfriend. I try to spend the weekends with my family or doing stuff that I really love. And even during the day, I take breaks and do things that I really love. So I want you to experience this same freedom and life. Freedom, life, RV life, digital nomad life. I want you to experience this same blessings that I've been dealt. But I want you to understand that it does take a lot of work and giving up certain things and maybe people to get here. So being secluded in my RV is probably like how a lot of people have felt during COVID. And it just taught me a lot. So when people hunkered down during COVID and they were like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind, I was like, wow, this is like pretty normal for me. I mean, it almost felt like nothing was going on, because when COVID happened, I was living in Las Vegas. I booked it back to Alabama, which is where I'm from. I just remember thinking my life is super normal. I knew all these things were happening, things were shutting down, but I had been living this secluded life in my RV for so long that I didn't feel abnormal. It felt super normal. Everybody was freaking out and having to go inside and saying I can't be with my friends and family, and I'm like, I have been without my friends and family for a really long time. It was kind of ironic that I settled down near my friends and family, and I thought COVID was a blessing to me and my business, and I had more clarity than ever in who I wanted to work with and what I wanted to do with my time, and my relationship got even better. I would say, I'm sure we had our moments, but our relationship was probably better when we were traveling, or we learned a lot about each other when we were traveling. But we've both been entrepreneurs, so that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that I've been an entrepreneur with my boyfriend for a while, so we spent a lot of time together, and then the RV thing was just kind of super normal. And then when we got stationary, it was pretty normal too. So I'm going to make another video about spouses and RV life because I've been asked about that a lot. But that's a good reason to subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm Blog and Brandy. This is RVersity. And on that note, you know, I went through a lot in my RV life. And I really just wanted to make this video to talk to you about where I am now. And if the camera's shaking, it's because my other camera died, so I gotta hold this. But I want to start sharing more about my RV life, but I just wanted you to know that I don't like to share things that are, I don't want you to just watch me live my RV life. I want to share things with you that change your life, that get you into the same life, that have you live in this life. So I kind of learned a while back that I don't just make videos to make videos. I make videos and I want to make videos and I want to make content to change your life, change your perception, get you in the same mindset, get you here the fastest way possible, which is again why I kind of like spent all of this time creating RVersity and working on my latest project behind the scenes. And the fastest way to get here is to book a call with me and chat about your RV life. Tell me what's going on and let me help you help yourself get there. So if we haven't chatted, I'm dropping the link below this video so that we can chat and talk about planning your RV life, your entrepreneur life, your RV boss status, so you can be here, whether you're in your current job or you want to quit your job or you have an RV and you're just trying to figure it out. Whatever it is, if you're a digital nomad, you're an RVer, and you're like, this thing ain't working for me, or I need your tools and resources because I just started this thing, or I want to start this thing. Let's talk. Let's plan this thing, and let me share that with you. I'm excited to share this video with you. If you like this video, make sure and hit the like button, drop a comment below, and of course, if you haven't booked a call, book a call with me. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.